Hi guys, welcome back to Hair Dry Treatment. The Soph and Meg show is finally back. It's finally back. There's a bit of delay, but we're both buzzing to get back talking to you guys. And we're going to talk about the big topic at the minute in football regarding the coronavirus and whether football really should be coming back. We're going to talk about obviously what other leagues have done and what we think is the right thing for the Premier League. But firstly, Meg, how are we doing?
We're all good. I'm okay. Obviously, I've had a bit of a busy week, to be honest. It's just been one of those weeks where I've just not stopped. The kids have run me ragged, and it's just been one of those, where it's got to me a little bit this week. But we're back. I'm all right. I'm living a Sunday morning. I feel like every day is Sunday morning, but I'm having I'm having today as Sunday, day of rest.
You know what, Meg? You've earned it. You've earned it. I mean, the kids. We keep talking about whether schools. I mean, I'm back at work now, just 1 to 2 days a week because we've got still a handful of kids who are coming in. But before, schools need to come back really for the economy to come back. That's my opinion, because then people can start to go back to work. But as a parent, I'm imagining it's so tough being in lockdown with your kids over and over again and constantly. But your kids are of an age where you're constantly always with them anyway. But as a mother, what do you think about all these parents who've got teenagers, for example? I mean, I'm seeing more and more teenagers now out on the bikes and stuff like that. I'm guessing that parents are starting to lose it a little bit. As a mum, how are you finding it? Because obviously it's different to me. I'm not a mum. For you, I'm guessing it's a lot more stressful.
It has been stressful. I mean, it's been difficult at times. There are some days where it's I'm kind of down bedtimes, from 9 o'clock in the morning. But then there are other days, and I just think obviously I wouldn't normally get all this time with them. Obviously I'd have to go to work, they'd have to go to nursery. So it's I'm never going to get this time back, so I'm enjoying it. But I agree with you, there are more groups of teenagers. I mean, I go for a run around a field round by ours.
Yeah.
And you can see there are groups of lads playing football.
Yeah.
And it's not they're not, well, they are all standing together. It's hard, isn't it? Because who's going to turn around, so no 17-year-old is going to be no, I'm not going out.
Yeah, it's a hard one because as a parent, obviously you have the power ultimately, but what are you meant to do, physically lock them in? No, I mean, I work with students who, let's say, the behaviourally the struggle, and so I went to work the other day and I'll come back feeling horrible because I'll be honest, they were laughing about it, they weren't taking it seriously at all, social distancing they didn't really care about, and they didn't care. And I tried to explain, if my grandparents or anyone that I know in my family gets it because you guys are being inconsiderate, then I won't be happy, but they're just laughing about it, they don't care. So to think that football could possibly be coming back in June, I just completely think it's mad because I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm sure, like you've just mentioned, you've seen it firsthand as well. People are still not taking it seriously. And when there's hundreds of people still dying in the UK, across the world, how can you even contemplate a game coming back? And I know we all love football, I miss it just as much as the next person, but it ultimately is a game, isn't it? So how can we risk people's lives? If I'm a player, well, I am a player, but you know what I mean, if I'm in the situation, for example, that Aguero came out the other day and said that players are worried, I completely understand that, Megan. He got a bit of stick for saying that, but I understood why he said that. What was your opinion on Aguero coming out and saying he's scared?
I get it. I mean, it's going to be, they're still workers, they get paid a lot of money, and they always have had this, stick about it, about their money and their pay. But they've still got feelings, they've still got family that they'll be worried about.
Yeah.
Everyone who's got to go back to work, who already still goes to work, are concerned. I know somebody who has to still go to work. It's concerning because they still come back to our house, and then it's, who gets passed? Does it get passed to us as well? And going to work and working with people who are still not following the rules. You've got family, so
yeah, exactly.
I get it. I get why Aguero has come out and said it. He is trying to protect his family as anybody would during this time. Nobody wants to get this virus, do they? So
no.
Going to work is really difficult at the moment.
Yeah, it is completely different. I agree, and I think that some people in the chat are talking about it now. I did a tweet the other day, and people were saying back to me well, I've still got to go to work. I have to work. I'm on a building site, so footballers should have to go back to work. And of course, I get that side of things. I'm still having to go to work, but ultimately, footballers aren't key workers. They're there, they kick a ball around the pitch and they've got to touch each other. We all know footballers spit on a pitch and stuff like that as well. They've got all that to deal with. And for me, like, if I'm a football player, I wouldn't want to risk my family. A lot of them have got kids and stuff like that as well. And like I've already mentioned, grandparents. For the sake of kicking the ball around the pitch, regardless, I wouldn't want to risk their life. And ultimately, that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be going out and they're going to be risking lives. They're going to say, apparently footballers are going to have to wear masks so that they can't breathe whilst they're playing as well. I don't think a mask is going to make a great deal of difference, if I'm honest with you, when you're brushing up aside of people and stuff like that. But Meg, what's your opinion on that? Are masks the answer?
Not in football, are they?
No.
Let's face it. No one is running around a football pitch for 90 minutes with a mask on. Yeah, it's just not the answer, is it? What, you know, they stopped. I mean, the whole thing before this lockdown, when they couldn't shake hands, was absolutely ridiculous. Like, oh, let's not shake hands, but you can still go within less than a metre of somebody when you tackle them, or your heads literally go together when you try and head a ball. So, what's the difference between shaking hands but then heading a ball when you've got two people's heads together?
Exactly, like, it's contact sport.
It doesn't make sense. The whole thing needs to not come back. And this is really hard to say. We all love football. We like, especially for us, we play football as well as watch.
Yeah.
It's not just it's not just one side of this going, you know, actually watching the sport. This is us also playing it. Like, I miss playing it, like, ridiculous amounts. So, but for me, I just think it has to not come back until it is safe to do so. Yeah. And that is when the numbers have dramatically reduced to the point where, you know, when it's very unlikely to get it, you know, it's never going to be eradicated straight away, is it? Because there's always going to be somebody carrying it around. But it's like a cold, isn't it? Someone always, you know, always carries something. But you can't bring it back until that is...
No. I mean, we said about, like, don't want people in gangs, obviously, or big groups of people. I know that obviously, if it does come back, it'll be behind closed doors most likely. But I said this to you off camera. Does it not, though? For example, if Manchester United are playing, or anyone's playing, and if it's a big game, does it not then encourage people to try and watch it with their friends or family on TV and meet up that way and do it socially? Because, like I've just said, there's people out there who aren't taking it seriously. And I think if football comes back, I think that it's going to encourage more people to meet up with their friends and family and do it that way. And I genuinely think that it's not going to help the situation at all across the world. But also, I remember saying this bluntly, the Atletico against Liverpool game, when the Atletico fans flew over to Anfield, obviously coronavirus was about then, I think the Serie A had already been cancelled, but it still went ahead anyway. And I couldn't believe the fact that the government, allowed the fans from Atletico to fly over to Liverpool. And I just don't think we should be taking any unnecessary risks. That was a risk in itself, and I don't think that helped the situation, and I just don't think we need to be risking it too early. Ultimately, it's a game of football. Life goes on. Yes, like you say, of course it's hard to say, of course we miss football. I want to see Bruno Fernandes and Pogba on the pitch together. Of course I do. But I don't want to see them risking their lives or risking their family just for our entertainment, because ultimately it's to boost morale, it's to be entertainment for us guys. I won't find it as entertaining knowing that they're putting their life at risk. And I remember just before that lockdown happened, the day before, I had to play in a cup final. And I remember I was unsure about playing because obviously my granddad's had health issues recently, and I didn't want to play. I played because I didn't want to let the team down. But I was put in a really awkward situation there because I was literally risking members of my family just to kick a ball around the pitch, and I didn't like that. And the day after, literally lockdown happened, and that's where all sporting events were cancelled. But at that point, I was forced to play. And that's what these players are being told to do now, being forced to play ultimately. And it's an awkward situation because you don't want to let your teammates down, of course you don't. And you're going to be judged if you refuse to play. Someone said in the chat, just players will refuse. You're going to be judged on that, and I don't think it's fair that you should be.
You used two words that is so crucial, and it was an unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
It is an unnecessary risk to bring back football and have players, you know, because it's not just the players, isn't it, that we're talking about. It's staff members, managers, coaching staff, physiotherapists, you know, people who've got to open up the ground. They're talking about neutral grounds. I will just go to a point that Leah made in the comments.
Leah's just made a good comment as well. I just want to touch on this while she looked. She said, let's be honest, Atletico Madrid removed the virus from Europe. I love that. That did make it slightly worthwhile, yes. Guys, there's 31 people in the chat. Please hit that like button as well. Me and Meg would appreciate that.
so Leah said the only reason we're talking about football coming back is because of money.
Yeah.
And it's true. We are talking about it. Well, there is talk about bringing football back because of the economy. And I know it's in like an absolute shitstorm, the economy, but we're having to rely on football to bring it back. Now, we shouldn't rely on football, and we shouldn't rely on people. Yes, the NHS staff and key workers are all doing it, but it's an unnecessary risk to send more people out to go to work. You've got Boris Johnson saying, if you can work from home, then do it. These footballers can't work from home, but it's not a necessarily important thing to have.
But see, they can work from home. I saw Rashford do a tweet earlier. I think he's doing some kind of session for the BBC and CBeebies. Footballers can work from home in different ways. They are role models at the end of the day. Can they not do stuff from home? A lot of them have been playing FIFA, raising money for charity. I would class that as they're still working. They're still trying to do stuff for the better. For me, putting them with teammates to go and kick a ball around, putting them at risk, putting the families at risk. Mr. E made a good point in the chat there. He said Pep's mum died from coronavirus. How is he going to be feeling if he's forced back into games, back into action? I'm sure he's feeling it more than anyone at the minute. If you literally lost a family member, or you're going to put family members at risk, then it's just madness. I cannot comprehend that. There's literally, 600, 700, 800 people dying a day, and we're contemplating bringing football back. How is that even possible? I do not get it. In terms of the French league, obviously, they've finished the season. PSG have been named champions. What a surprise there. PSG have been named champions, and also, obviously, the bottom of the league been relegated, and I'm guessing the team from below are going to come up. Meg, what's your take on that? Is that the way that it should go?
I think no. I think if you are going to cancel a season, finish a season without playing out all the games, then it needs to be null and void, because we were just talking before we came on here about Lyon, who have now finished 7th, not where they were the week before. So if the lockdown happened the week before, they'd have finished 5th.
Yeah.
They'd be in Europe.
So they're missing out on Champions League.
7th, and that will cost them big time. You know, this is not just about where you finish in the league. Obviously, wherever you finish is prize money.
Yeah.
It's sponsorship deals. It's contracts. It's where you finish in your contract. So for them, it just must be horrific.
It gets so messy, doesn't it?
Financial staff must be going crazy right now. I just don't see, if you are going to cancel a league, that you are going to crown people champions and say, okay, we can do this. We definitely can't do it in the Premier League like that.
Yeah.
We definitely can't, because we haven't played the same amount of games. And if those games in hand, if they were to go ahead and you'd have got those points, it changes the whole table layout. It's just, I don't agree with it. Obviously, PSG always go on and win the French league. It's always the same, but it's not always the same as where Lyon finish, and it's not always the same where you finish your relegation places. So,
I think financially, like you mentioned, you look at the teams, and for example, Villa is a big example. If they go down financially, it's going to affect them. They're going to struggle to keep their main players. For example, Grealish, I think, will be out the door if they get relegated. But mathematically, they're not going down. For all we know, and it's happened many times in the Premier League, teams go on a mad spell where they're beating teams left, right and centre, and they get themselves back to safety. Who knows that's not going to happen with Aston Villa or any other team in the bottom 3. And then you got to look at... exactly. You can't preempt it, you can't predict it. It's not fair. Yeah, but also I think the Dutch league and what they did, I think Matt in the chat just said this as well. They did it, no relegation, no promotion, nothing, just called the league. For me, that is fairer to do it like that. I mean, it's not ideal, of course, because as a Doug's a Liverpool fan in the chat, and I'm sure I've got other Liverpool fans. I always say, as a football fan, you hold your hands up and you say Liverpool deserve to win the league. Of course they do. But they haven't won the league. Mathematically, they haven't won it. So how do you just give someone the league if they haven't won it? It's so messy. And then you look at players whose contracts are running out in the summer. How is that going to work? It's just a horrible situation. I'm glad I'm not the person making the decision, because I think regardless, you're going to be judged on whatever you do or say. A bit like Boris Johnson, there's no right or wrong in what you can do. You're going to be judged either way. But ultimately, he's trying to find the fairest way. Is the fairest way just to give Liverpool the league and then call the season no relegation, no promotion, and start afresh next time? some people are believing that we do finish the season, but whether that means we have to carry on into next year and finish it then, we'll finish it then. It doesn't matter when, but we finish it. We just delay it. Meg, what's your take on that?
I think it's really easy as a football fan who's not in the thick of it in terms of having to make decisions and doesn't work the FA to say, well, we'll just postpone it and we'll just finish it off later on in the year, because that has so many implications on terms of contracts and players having a break, players looking to move clubs. What happens then? Transfer windows. So I think you can't just say, oh, let's delay it because, well, we can just carry it on later on in the year. It's not that simple to just do that. And the more it goes on, the more, for me, you null and void it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. The longer it goes on, it seems more effort to just keep pondering and worrying about it. Just get it done, start afresh. I feel like that. I think that's just because I'm sick of the going around and round and all the different possibilities. I just want an answer, as most football fans do. We just want an answer what's going to happen. Fred said that to avoid the league, so avoid the league off, basically, and give Liverpool a certificate for the most points won. I like that idea.
Participation certificate.
Gold star. Let's give them a gold star for effort this year, shall we?
I think if you null and void it, though, really, are you going to only annoy one team? And that's Liverpool. Like,
no. Because
are you going to annoy anybody else? Like, I know a lot of the clubs are in favour of finishing the league when you can. I'm not in favour of finishing the league at neutral venues for multiple reasons. That, for me, I don't get it. I've read this morning about clubs not really, well, some clubs not really in that like in favour of finishing the league, but not in favour of doing it at neutral venues. I get that.
Brighton have said that.
I am. The more this goes on, swaying towards null and void. Just sack it off this season. Unfortunately, this has happened. You don't ever write stuff like this, do you? Like, you can't predict it.
No.
Apologies to everyone who's been involved, but we go again next season.
See, the thing is, though, I'm thinking of teams like Sheffield United, even Wolves to an extent. They're literally in competition for Champions League football next season, or European football at least, I'd say. It's unlikely that Sheffield United are going to be as successful next season. I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just saying nobody expected them to finish so high, or to be so high up in the table and to be competing for European football. So teams like that, for me, I think you'd be absolutely gutting for, because they're literally in with a real chance. They're in with a real chance of getting Champions League football. And then to be told that it's void, and then next season, for example, if they finish, 13th in the league, you got to be sitting there thinking, what could have been? But like we've already said, you're not going to please everybody. It's impossible. There's always going to be people criticising it. It's a horrible decision to have to make. Alex, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. He said, "Hi ladies, the issue is that too much of the season has taken place for it to be declared null and void, and too many managers have lost their jobs up to now." What's your take on that, Meg? Has too far in the season gone? Because obviously the Dutch League, the French League, they're at the same points as well. They've made their decision. Do you think that we're too far into the Premier League to now end it?
I think no, because nothing's been decided. So you haven't got a team who have won the league. You haven't got teams who are already relegated from the league. So you're not that far through it to have those decisions made. If those decisions had already been made and it was mathematically certain that X, Y, Z were going down, or mathematically certain that so and so won the league, then so you look at, obviously Liverpool are mathematically certain to get European football next year. I think Leicester or Man City are also mathematically certain.
Well, it would be Man City, but they're not, are they, because of the ban? So if that stands, so
forgot about that. But something like, so those are things that are mathematically certain. So you can write them down and say, okay, whatever happens, really, Liverpool should definitely be in Europe, and so should Leicester if they're mathematically certain. But you're not that far in the league. You're not that far gone in the league to say, hey, Liverpool, you can have the title, or Norwich, you are relegated, because there is still a chance that they could get out.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfair, isn't it? Because they're not confirmed as being relegated. They're not confirmed as going down. So there's still a possibility that I could get out. And like I've already mentioned.
Thanks for reminding me, Doug, by the way.
Oh yeah, Doug's rubbing it in there. Liverpool have already qualified for the Champions League with that win over Manchester United. He had to get that in there, Doug. Had to get it in there. Let's see what other people are saying in the chat. Stephen Barton says, hope you're all great and having a great Sunday. Stay safe. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Again, Alex, thank you so much for that super chat. It really does mean a lot. Thank you. What about teams that got relegated last season? Are they back in the Premier League? Well, I think the big one is you look at the Championship and West Brom and Leeds. Obviously, they're due to be coming up. And we all know that if you get promoted into Premier League, especially the playoff as well, the playoff is the most expensive game in football. If that's not going ahead, financially that is going to affect a lot of teams. In terms of the managers being sacked, managers get a massive payoff anyway. There's people every day losing their jobs at the minute because of the coronavirus, and obviously what it's had on the economy, the effect it's had. So in terms of managers being sacked, it's unfortunate, of course it is, but for me, people lose their jobs every single day, especially with this going on at the minute. They get a massive payoff. So I'm not too concerned about that, Meg. What about you?
No, not like you said, they get a massive payout from it. People who can't afford to not have a job are the ones that we've got to be worrying about. Mm-hmm. So I've got friends who have got their own businesses or work for themselves and can't get support from the government. You know, at the moment, they're the ones that really should be worried about, not managers who are going to get paid millions of pounds after they get sacked. Yeah, they've got enough to survive on.
That's it, isn't it? Like, if you compare it to everyday life, I mean, it's hard because you're comparing them in terms of money and managers and whatnot, but then we're saying footballers shouldn't have to go back to work. Yet certain people are going back to work, not just me, but obviously you've got NHS, you've got supermarket workers, all these key workers. But for me, footballers are not key workers. It's not essential that they need to come back. If I'm honest, it is based about money, because obviously the Premier League make a lot of money from, and sponsors, for example, make a lot of money from footballers coming back. But really, it's selfish, isn't it? As a football fan, if you want football to come back now, for me, you are selfish. It's purely because you want to be entertained. You're a bit bored in lockdown. I'm not happy seeing people risk their lives and risk their families just for our entertainment. I've already said that. I'm not happy with that. I'm not comfortable with that happening. But if it does happen, what is the safest way for it to do so? And that's what we're trying to discuss here. Behind closed doors, I think is the safest way to do it. But people have already mentioned that there will still be fans congregating and trying to watch the game. There will still be fans meeting up, definitely, and having drinks and watching matches, because that's just what happens. That's football culture. And I think the second that football comes back, people will feel that's acceptable to do that again. But behind closed doors, Meg, I do think it's probably, if it does come back, I think that's the way that it will go, unless we wait until it is safe, which is what should happen. But I just feel like it's impatience and it's money that is the issue right now.
Yeah, I just think the one thing that I would be interested to see is how they figure out, like I said, the contracts of players, what happens then, and how would they fit that into like next season. How do they push that back and shorten? Because we had obviously that break, didn't we, in February, or was it? Where one half the league played, and then 1 week, and then the next half of the league played the following week. I don't think we'll see that. And then obviously have a shorter break next summer. But for me, it would just be interesting to see what they do with the contracts.
Yeah, I completely agree.
How they work that out, but that's obviously way too technical for me. So.
I mean, Tanner's just said here, Tanner said, would you be saying the same if United were about to win their first Premier League title? I haven't said anything about Liverpool regarding, I'm not biased in any, I'm talking as a football fan. I'm saying that Liverpool, for me, as a neutral, they deserve to win the league, but they haven't technically won it, so how is the fairest way that you do it? Because if you say that they haven't won the league, or I was talking to quite a lot of Liverpool fans recently, and they say they do not want Liverpool to win the league with an asterisk to the side of the title, or to be like a special title. They want to win the Premier League properly. And the only way you're going to do that is either behind closed doors or if you delay the league, surely. Because obviously if it's null and void, then of course you're not putting people's lives at risk. But we've already mentioned it gets so messy in terms of contracts, in terms of titles, in terms of promotions and relegations. There's that many things to answer. But as a football fan, we seem to be going round in circles, and I think we just want an honest answer. We see Boris talking, and he's talking in gibberish most of the time, saying that hopefully we can start to lift the lockdown, but we're not lifting it just yet. We've gone past the peak, yet we're seeing hundreds of deaths still. We're literally reading in between the lines, and that's what we've been doing now for a while as a football fan, and I think we just want a clear answer, Meg, don't we?
Yeah, for us, I think like everybody just wants to kind of know what's going on. Nobody wants to be left in the lurch. Like, do we do this? Don't we do that? Ultimately, it's not down to the fans. It'll be a vote on whether the teams in the Premier League and what they want to do, and then it'll be down to the government in terms of what they say that we can and can't do. But if it was Man United,
bless you, bless you.
If it was Man United, I would be saying exactly the same as you, that yes, obviously we'd have loved to have won it, but if you've not mathematically won it, you can't just give somebody something.
But like I say, Liverpool fans do not want to just be given it either. They don't want that. Liverpool fans want to earn a title, and rightly so. They want to win the league like anyone else wins the league. And it is really unfortunate that obviously the year that Liverpool are absolutely dominating and running away with the league pretty much, this happened, and it is unfortunate, but we've got to work out the fairest way to do it. I mean, if you look at the scenes in America, I want to touch on this because there's literally protests. I saw a video on Twitter yesterday where there's, I'd say probably millions, hundreds of thousands of people all gathering, protesting. How is that helping the state? How is that helping the situation across the world? And it just isn't, is it? So I think when stuff like that is still happening, and like I say, I see now more and more people out and about. Being back at work, I've seen that kids are not taking it seriously as well. With it not being taken as serious, I can't see how football can come back. I cannot see how it can happen. Premier League is due back on my birthday, the 12th of June, says George. I'll definitely wish you a happy birthday on the 12th of June. As a Liverpool fan, we only deserve the title after 38 games. Josh says the beauty of live videos. Bless you, Megan.
Thank you. What I will say about giving Liverpool the league is, say this was to ever happen again, okay, and like you said, Liverpool have dominated this season. They are miles ahead of everyone else. It's pretty much guaranteed that they will go on and win it. What if this happens and you've got two teams and there's only 1 point difference?
Well, Leah's just said here, the Serie A, they still, obviously Italy's been really bad hit, but they still want to continue the league because they've got two teams fighting for the title in Italy. So what happens there?
Yeah, and like I said, for in the Premier League, we haven't played the same amount of games. So you could have a team, if this was to ever happen again, and we'll say, well, let's say we give Liverpool the league this year, this time round. So we finish, Liverpool get the league. What happens when if this ever happens again, and we've got two teams going for the league, there's 1 point difference, but the team in second place got a game in hand? You can't then just say, wow.
Do you think, no? I mean, with Lyon in the French league, they want to take legal action, but when you look at what Holland have done, and they've just literally just cut it all off, just ended it there, no relegation, no promotion, there hasn't been that much backlash from what I know of. There hasn't been that much backlash, has there? It's just ended and we'll start afresh. It's a bit disappointing for certain teams, yes, but maybe that is the way to go, because you look what's happening in the French league. It's getting a bit messy now. Like you say, Lyon, financially, they're going to be missing out on a lot of money. PSG getting champions, I think that obviously was always going to happen. I've already said that happens most of the time, to be honest with you. But when you look at teams like Lyon, and we've already mentioned teams like Sheffield United, Wolves, Aston Villa, West Brom, Leeds, there's a lot of clubs who are going to be affected by it. If you just call it now, scrap it, is there going to be as much of a backlash? Rather than you saying, oh, we'll play it behind closed doors, or we'll give Liverpool the champions, we'll relegate the teams who are bottom. It's just a horrible, messy situation. And as a United fan, even us, like at the minute with Europa, we could get Champions League football. If they call the season now, we're going to get Europa League again next season, and we're looking at getting players like Sancho, apparently. Is that really going to massively affect transfers then? And not just for United, but for a lot of teams?
It's just a whole load of mess, isn't it?
It's horrible. It's horrible. Doug, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that.
Round of applause for Doug, because what you're about to read out is just...
Oh, you've already read it? I haven't read it yet. I'm going to read it now.
No, I've read it. I've read a little chat. Round of applause.
Doug says, there is a time and place for football to return. Everyone's health is more important, and there are far bigger things than football. Stay safe. I completely agree with you, Doug. Round of applause for that. Amen to that. Mic drop, Doug. Honestly, that is it. That is it. And see you later, guys. Thanks for tuning in. No, I completely agree, though. It's football. It is football. I know we love it, and I know we all miss it. Of course we do. That's why I'm playing FIFA, and I'm crap at it, and people are tuning in and watching me. That's how desperate they are, because I'm rubbish at FIFA. But we miss it. We miss it. I know we do. But it's football. Do we need to put more stress on the NHS for the sake of kicking a ball around? No. We don't need to do that. Do we need to risk our families or footballers' families? No. Footballers are still human beings at the end of the day. I know they entertain us and I know we love watching them kick a ball around, but they are human beings. And they're at risk just like the next person. So I don't see the fun in that. I don't see the common sense in bringing football back just yet. Obviously, I hope it can come back and I hope we can continue to see it. But when it's safe and when it's a suitable time to do so, Meg.
Completely agree with you. Sorry, I'm reading comments in the section.
Caught you out.
Mostly I'm like, what's going on? I'm trying to catch up with everyone. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like you said, the two words that you used earlier was unnecessary risk, and that sums everything up. That it is an unnecessary risk.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I mean, I saw on Claude's channel the other day that they were going through the fixtures that were due to happen, and they were trying to predict the outcomes of games. And there's so many games that are hard to predict the outcome of, and that's why I just think it's unfair just to relegate certain teams or promote certain teams, because that's why we love football. Leicester, for example, is a prime example. You never know quite what's going to happen, and that's why I think that the season, I would rather it be played out. I'm happy to wait. I'm happy to wait until 2021 to finish the season. I really am. I don't get the impatience saying it's got to come back and it's got to come back in June or it's got to come back as soon as possible. It's just impatience and it's just selfishness. It really is on fans' behalf. I genuinely think it is.
I think George Carr's just put. I think that will happen. I think what will happen is that they will restart the league in June or July, but then a player will get COVID and then the league will stop again. And that's the thing, isn't it?
Who takes the blame?
It takes one person, and it's not even got to be a player. It could be a coaching staff, someone from one team. That team will then refuse. No, they've had it, and go back to a certain thing where it'll be postponed. It'll get cancelled. You can't do it, can you? It just takes one person to get it, and it'll just throw everything off again.
Yeah, Gary Neville said this. He said, so worst case scenario, football comes back, someone gets coronavirus, someone dies with coronavirus, a player or a coach or whatever it is. Who takes the blame for that then? Because nobody wants to put a name, nobody wants to put their stance on whether the football should come back or not. Nobody's taking ownership. And I can't blame them, because if something like that does happen, who then takes the fall for it? Who takes the blame? Who? Nobody knows, and that's why it's a horrible situation, and for me, that's why people should not be at risk. That's what people are saying. I think Sophie's underestimating how good it is to see Phil Jones defend. Phil Jones defend right now is like a godsend. I would love to see that. I want to see that look on his face when he falls to the floor and tries to tackle someone with his head. That's what I want to see, but it's not an urgent thing, is it? But Phil Jones, what a guy. Do you think he's still going to be at United next season, Meg?
No.
Do you want to think about that, or?
I want to think about that, no. Remember a few weeks ago we did a Q&A and it was Nycott and Das. And for ages I felt like, I have to think about that.
I don't have to think about Nike or Adidas for me. I'm Nike all day. Don't have to think about it.
Really?
Guys.
I'm still pondering the situation. I would genuinely think about it the other day. I was thinking, Nike or Adidas, I really can't decide. But Phil Jones, in or out, I can do that. It's out, gone. So.
Nope.
Thank you for your time, Phil.
That was a bit like the time when I said, what was it? What's the question? Something about if someone was an animal and he was like, a fucking wasp! Like this, he just lost it, he just went off on it. That was one of the highlights, I think, of the Soph and Meg show, definitely.
I will say, from that video, we are a few wasps down in the world.
From
Sorry.
you. Terrible.
Apologies, but...
Terrible, Meg. Come on. What did I say? I said a sloth or something, didn't I? I can't even remember now. Guys, get your questions in the chat. This is the time of the show when me and Meg can answer some of your questions. We've spoken enough about what we think should happen with the league and what's right and what's wrong. We don't know what's right or wrong. Nobody knows what's right or wrong. But personally...
Some positive news. Give me some good questions.
Yeah, and let us know what you're doing as well with your day. How are you coping in lockdown? How are you getting through... What are you doing to pass the time? I can't believe how fast time goes. I cannot believe how fast time goes.
So we'll say, positive news everyone, if you have not tried Biscoff fudge, you need a 3-ingredient Biscoff fudge. Let me tell you now, it's unreal. That's what I've been doing in lockdown.
In Lila's Cafe?
In Lila's Cafe.
Love that. You know, I've been making bread. No, I wish I was making bread, but no, I've been literally making bread. And I loved it. And, you know, I was well impressed with the bread I made, but there's a flour shortage in the UK. I don't know if you've got it where you live, Meg, but I cannot get flour everywhere. You can buy like 16-kilogram bags off Amazon if you want that, but you can't just get bags of flour anywhere. There's a shortage. What?
George, I got it up. What are your 3 favourite animals and why?
Oh, go on then, Meg, you can start. A wasp, what else?
Well, an alpaca or a llama, that's up there. A monkey, you know those really like cute ones that like would sit on your shoulder or like you just cuddle all the time. And I like just like you know like the little baby things, so like a puppy or
The baby things.
Yeah, it's like, but they're not called babies, are they? But like a lion cub, a bear cub, or like miniature versions of things.
Imagine, let's go to the zoo and see the baby things.
But definitely, I'd go to the zoo and see an alpaca or a llama. They're my top ones.
Right, was it top 3? A puppy. So obviously I've got a French bulldog, so a puppy, tiger. Just love tigers so much. Tigers are just up there for me. That's why I can't watch Tiger King, because I feel so sorry for them being cooped up. Even though everyone's going mad about Joe Exotic, Carol Baskin and all this, I can't do it. But yeah, tigers, a puppy, and then my last one, I like all animals. I'm a massive animal lover, so it's really, really hard for me to choose my last animal. I'm going to say a dolphin. I like dolphins. I'm going to say a dolphin. That's my 3. But that's hard. I love all animals.
Cats. No. The devil. They're up there with wasps.
Devil?
They're up there with wasps.
Why?
Why? Because, right, where I live, so there are cats from other houses. If you've got an animal, keep it in your own house. Don't let it come to my house. I didn't ask for a cat. And what do I get in my garden? Cats. I don't want a cat. I don't want it to come near me. One, I'm allergic to him, so that's also why I don't really like them. But if you own an animal, keep it in your own house.
Oh, Doug said a rabbit is one of his top animals. I used to have a rabbit called Ronaldo, and I loved it. There's a grey floppy-eared rabbit called Ronaldo.
Do you know what, when I was younger, I was literally obsessed with hamsters.
Yeah, I had a hamster called Bo.
Oh, my first one was called Bex, after David Beckham.
I love that.
And I also had one that was called Rio, because you know when he dyed his hair like yellow?
Yeah.
My hamster was like a sandy colour, and it was at the same time, so he got called Rio. So I've had Bex and Rio as hamsters.
They're great names, though. Great names. Let's see what other people are saying. Your 3 favourite football memories? And Josh agrees with me on the flower thing, by the way. He said he went to get flowers the other day. There's none. I agree. I hear you, Josh. There's none anywhere. Oh, penguin gas. That's a great shout. I love penguins as well. Best football memories? 3. First one, I'm going to say when I skated for England. There's a personal favourite for me, obviously. Second one, I'm going to say Wayne Rooney's hat-trick against Fenerbahce when I sat there with my dad and watched it. That was just a mad experience. And my third one is meeting Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes is my idol, so I'll probably say that's my 3.
That, can you?
No,
oh, by the way, I just met Paul Scholes, one of my favourite members.
You can't beat that.
Come on, Meg, your turn. Give me I'm like,
Meg, you got loads of memories. I know it. You got loads of memories.
Mine are when I was in Spain when Spain won the World Cup. Just shame about the company that I was with at the time. When playing for England colleges,
yeah,
from my first game for them, and I was back in Spain. Honestly, I spent my time in Spain. I was in Spain when we won the 1999 the Champions League final that night, and there's a picture, and I am in full Manchester United kit with my little jelly sandals on. And so is my sister, and then my dad, who didn't wear jelly sandals, was also in a Man United kit, and we're out there in Spain. So, yeah, those 3 are my top moments.
Love that. It's him. George is singing a Carol Baskin song in the chat. It's in my head now. I can't hear it. that Savage song, and you just can't listen to any different.
Oh, that song's driving me up the wall.
Connor Leakey says, what do you reckon about when it's safe to do so organising for the teams that have things to play for, like staying up, top 4, knockout games, mini leagues to finish the season? It's a win-win. So when it's safe to do so, what do you think about doing it like that? So it's like just the teams who are fighting for something, kind of like, I'm guessing like a tournament is what he's talking about there, kind of like knockout stages.
But what happens if, say, you're a team in relegation and you should have had Liverpool, Man City, you should have had games against harder opponents, and then another team should have had an easier run-in.
Yeah.
The team that should have had the harder run-in have now got an advantage because their games have, what you would say, have eased because they're already playing teams around them.
Yeah.
And the same with, teams who are playing for Champions League and Europa League. If you've got an easy run-in and you're playing teams that are nearer the bottom and you're expected to get 3 points the majority of the games, and now you've got to play teams in and around you, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
So I would probably be against that idea.
I think you said a good point on when it is safe to do so, and I think that is a big point. We've got to wait till it's safe to do so. Don't rush it back. There's no need to rush it back. But when it's safe to do so, I'm open for any possibilities, to be honest, just to see football again. But Leah's made a funny comment and made me laugh. I had a pet called Urzel, lazy, paid too much for him, strolls around the garden and doesn't eat his food properly. Did he go missing?
A bloody cat, I bet.
Did he go missing as well, Leah? I want to know that, because Urzel does that a lot. What's this say? Toughest opponents for both Sophie and Meg when you played football. Oh, toughest opponents.
To be fair, I think a lot of people underestimate women's football. I think especially if you haven't seen women's football, there are so many strong, athletic, technically brilliant players. It's really difficult.
I've played with, I'm going to say the best player I've played with, and obviously I'm going to say toughest opponent in training and stuff like that.
I'm right here.
I'm going to go for...
I'm building up this moment.
Meg, 9 times out of 10, we
let me just get my speech ready.
We were on the same team, Meg, most of the time, let's be honest about this. We are on the same team. But I'm going to say, you know what, Ashley Neville, who plays at Spurs, I'm going to get her on my channel soon for an interview. She said she's going to come on. We played together at Baggies, so I'm going to say that playing against Ash in training, she obviously plays full-back now for Spurs ladies, but a great talent. I hope she gets a call up for England. I think she deserves it at some point in her career.
She's definitely on form, isn't she?
She's a great player, but she could play anywhere as well. I mean, when I played with Ash, we both played up front, or she dropped into the middle, and now she's playing at full-back. She literally is one of them players who could play anywhere, but her desire and her attitude as well, just everything about her. She was one of the hardest people I've played against, definitely.
Honestly, I can't name one. I've been fortunate enough to play with and against so many players, talented players. There's just been, for me, too many. I can't really stand.
It's hard, isn't it? I mean, Ash was an easy one to say because I played with her week in, week out in training. But in terms of actual games, it's hard. I mean, I played against Liverpool, played against Everton, where they had massive players playing at the time. I mean, I played against the likes of Rachel Unit, Emily Westwood, people who have represented England. It's really hard to choose one, but as a consistent standout player and someone who's still playing now at a very good level, I'm going to say Ash Neville, but it's hard. Thanks to George, by the way, he just picked me up in the chat saying that, because George was there when we played, the United Stand playing against AFTV, he was there, that's when I first met George, and he said that I was the best player against the blokes on the pitch at that time, so I appreciate that, George. I was really nervous before that game, I've said that before, because being compared against men, obviously, you don't know how it's going to go, so I love playing in that game, it's class. And he says he thought that DT was my toughest opponent. Yeah, DT was definitely the toughest opponent at that time. Let's see what other people are saying. DT lost his head because Soph lobbed the ball over his head. It's funny. I will just add though, DT afterwards, we did shake hands, we still talk today. It's all a bit of banter between us, to be honest with you, but at the time, yeah, it was funny, very entertaining. Check out the video on my channel if you haven't seen that flick over his head. Let's see. It's business now. They look at their numbers. Even women would prefer to watch men play. Sorry to say, says Baby Yoda. Meg, what's your take on that? I don't think, and I've always been totally honest, I don't think women's football is as entertaining as men's football, but I think that is because there's not as much sponsorship in it, there's not much money pumped into it, obviously you don't get the atmosphere at the stadiums as much as you would with the men. The Barmy Army are trying to do that, and I love that about them. But Baby Yoda's just said it's not as entertaining as men's football, and that's why it will never attract the numbers that men's football has. What's your take on that? Because if you look at American, obviously soccer, women's football is absolutely massive in America. Will it ever hit those heights in the UK, in your opinion?
I don't think it will. I think what we look at. We're playing the same game, but your men's football and women's football is very different. Although it's still football, men's football is way ahead of women's football, and we're always trying to chase men's football. I think if you don't get the support, I've seen this week AFC failed. I can never say that word. They've dismembered their women's football team. Now they play in the third tier of women's football.
Yeah.
And they've called time on their women's football team because of the COVID-19 issue and because of finances. That's heartbreaking. Like, you're looking at clubs and women's team rely on support from the men's team, and really, really sad to hear that this week.
I've never sat here and you hear like women are asked for equal pay in terms of football and stuff like that. I mean, I'm a female footballer, you're a female footballer. I've never sat here and said that because I appreciate that men's football, I think, will always be bigger than women's football, never going to be on the same level. But what I do love is the growth of the women's game, like how much bigger it's got. I mentioned not long ago on an interview I did on another channel there, me in this area, I was the only female footballer growing up. Literally, there was no one else anywhere near where I live I can't even know of. So I was always playing football with lads growing up. Nowadays, you walk out, you always see girls playing football. There's loads of girls playing football, and I think it's ever since that Team GB in the Olympics, I genuinely believe they were a massive influence on women's football. And I remember you felt it from that point. It was like people looked at women's football differently.
Yeah, I think obviously we grew up in the same generation, and I was in exactly the same position. There was no other girl footballers when I was growing up. I had to play in the men's team, and then I had to travel. And then moved and played for Villa because there was no women's teams around here, and I went to them. But like I said, it's definitely people underestimate the talent and the skill.
Technically, I don't think there's much difference. I really don't.
Dedication, physically wise, men are genetically bigger and stronger, so you can't compare that because that's how they are built. You can't be like, you can't be that strong. It's just that's how it's built. What I will say, Matt Johnson just put thanks for the shout out for the Barmy Army. We've actually had a lot of criticism of other clubs, fans for the atmosphere create. That's because they are jealous because the Barmy Army at Manchester United women.
I love what they're doing.
Phenomenal atmosphere. It's so good. And what I will say about women's football as well is I think that it's definitely a family orientated sport, whereas you could take your children to a game, and there is banter. Yeah. But there is abuse.
Yeah, I mean, I love what the Barmy Army are doing. I remember when we went to the game, I just love it. They're trying to create an atmosphere, and you can't blame them for doing that. And someone said facts over feelings. Yeah, of course, we're both female footballers, and we feel very passionately about women's football. Of course we do, but we know for a fact that men's football is just different. It's different gravy. It's absolutely humongous, and it's near impossible to catch up with that. But you just have to respect the movement of women's football and how much it's progressing. There's no limit as to how far it can progress, and I love that about it. But you are right, Megan, what you're saying. This pandemic, obviously recently and financially, it's scary the effect it could have on the women's game, and we seem to be making big progress. It'd be a shame now for this to be something that holds women's football back. I saw George, he just mentioned Bend It Like Beckham. I did to the question just, he said, would you rather watch Goal or Bend It Like Beckham? I'll let you answer first, because I feel passionately about this Bend It Like Beckham talk, so I'll let you go first.
100% Bend It Like Beckham.
Why?
I got really annoyed the other day, so my daughter has been watching Trolls 2, and I can't even think of the song. I'm definitely not going to sing it if I think about it. But do you know the music to Bend It Like Beckham?
Yeah.
It's in Trolls 2. I got really annoyed. I was like, you can't steal that. That song is Bend It Like Beckham, but I can't even think of it right now. But 100% Bend It Like Beckham.
Out of the two films, I prefer Bend It Like Beckham, but can I just say, couldn't they not have chosen actors, or actresses should I say, who actually were footballers? because I'm not being funny, but you can tell that she doesn't kick a ball for a living. Do you know what I mean? Like, so stiff. It just really frustrates me. Like, you can just tell they are not footballers, and I can't see past that. I mean, it's more entertaining, and obviously because it was women's football, I like that more than goal. There's a lot more twists embedded like Beckham, whereas goal it was a lot more like, yeah, you knew that he was going to get, you knew it was going to be a positive ending. And then when they went on to goal 2, I was like, oh my god, what is happening here? I didn't even bother with that, I don't think. But Ben like Beckham, I just wish they'd have actually got actual players. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it didn't promote the best image of female footballers. You know? That one free kick, the winning free kick at the end, when the goalkeeper literally dives like completely out the way of the ball. Like, I just hated that whole about it. I felt like surely you could get actual footballers in it. That was my only thing about it. That's my only sticking point about it. They actually weren't footballers. And that goalkeeper at the end, I found it was a bit embarrassing. Do you know which bit I'm talking about, Meg?
I know exactly which bit you're talking about.
Like, come on, do you know what I mean? See, that says Thailand getting whopped, obviously by the USA in the World Cup was entertaining. What a joke. See, that's what I mean. Like, the difference in standards in women's football, though. Like, look at USA, obviously flying, and then you got loads of Thailand. Meg, what did you think about that? That was a bit embarrassing for women's football, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not something you really want to be watching. You don't want to see that, but obviously that's what happens in a World Cup where you've got countries who are so far progressed in women's football, like America playing against Thailand, who are just starting out really on their journey.
Yeah.
And you're going to get that, aren't you?
Yeah. Who is your favourite women's player? Leah's just asked. Favourite women's player?
Right now, I really like Leah Galton from Man United.
Yeah, quality.
I think she's quality.
I think mine.
Favourite like senior player, I would say probably. I was going to go for Jill Scott or Georgia Stanway.
I love Jill Scott. But I think for me, if I'm choosing like my overall favourite ever player, obviously retired now, it would be Kelly Smith. Like, she just was one of my biggest idols growing up. I just loved watching Kelly Smith play. She was absolute quality. But I think Ellen White, what a finisher, quality player. But I think at the minute, my most exciting women's football player, I'd have to say is Lauren James. Like, I just love Lauren James, everything about her. I think she's an absolute baller, and I think she's one for the future, definitely. So I think in terms of the most exciting player right now for me, I'd say Lauren James, to be honest with you.
Yes, I mean, she's a talent.
When we went to watch, like, she changed that game massively against City, didn't she? Yes. She came on. But Ellen White, I think, is one of the best strikers about right now, isn't she? Even not the, she's just awesome. USA women's teams are the fittest national team, and that makes a huge difference. They are. The fitness levels are absolutely ridiculous. I saw Josh Can as well mention just about the dedication and the training in the England training camp for women's football. Like you said earlier, Meg, you can't doubt the dedication in the women's game. It'll never be as big, of course you won't, but like I said, the sky is the limit as to how far we can actually push women's football and how far it can progress. I'm just hoping it survives this pandemic and the clubs can actually keep their place. But it is a worrying time, isn't it, Meg?
Definitely, like I said, we've already mentioned one team that have folded because of the virus, because of the financial support that they needed that they haven't got.
Yeah.
I just hope that there's no more teams like that.
Yeah.
It's hard. There's not the money in the women's game to keep afloat the teams below the championship, really. Like I said, this team that we're talking about, they're in the third tier. They're in the Northern Prem, and they've had to fold because of the talent. So unless you're in the championship and you've got the support, it's a really difficult time for women's football.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I just pray that actually we can pull through and do it. But guys, as always, I want to firstly thank Meg for coming on, because I love doing the Soph and Meg show. And it's actually, we were saying there's not a lot to talk about because of football, and we've actually got really stuck in, and I love it. But as always, thank you for tuning in. Please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Please do hit that subscribe button as well if you are new. We do appreciate the support, and we hope that you're liking the content. And Meg, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. It's been great. We have really actually got stuck into it.
Yeah.
We've found loads of stuff actually. But thanks to everyone who's been in the comments, the super chats that we've had as well, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, of course we will.
Who knows when we will be back?
We will be back. We do.
point.
We do one every single week, definitely. We try and do it on a Thursday evening, don't we, Meg? That's what we try to do. If not, most likely it will be on a Saturday, but we always tweet it beforehand anyway. But guys, thank you for the support. Really do appreciate it. Me and Meg really do appreciate the super chats that have been sent in. All the people in the chat talking as well. We appreciate that because we've got stuck into some real topics and we were struggling. We were thinking, you know what? Well, we weren't struggling because we don't struggle to talk, do we, Meg? But we were thinking there's not a lot of football topics to talk about and we've really excelled in that. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Please look after yourselves. Take care. Stay safe. Keep smiling. And me and Meg will be back next week. Take care, guys.